Welcome to the DIY Toycast. I'm your host, Gordon, here with my co-host, Brett. And today we have an extremely special guest coming to us from Spain, Jacob, Desktop Vandals. Thank you so much for staying up late
You're
to talk
welcome.
to us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, for having me in the show. Very glad to meet you all. I'm sure it will be a fantastic um, party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so uh, we were talking, Jacob, a little bit beforehand, but uh, I want to sort of lead in for people who may not be familiar with your work, sort of what you're most well known for right now is the Artron figure.
The Artron. The
And this
Artron.
is this is 3D printed in resin, but then you have this very clever engineering solution, which Brett and I greatly admire, where you use little bits of TPU filament plastic.
Exactly.
And so it's, I want to see, I have to be careful and do this close to my face, but each
Yeah.
each meeting of the joint of the ball with the socket,
Mhm.
you have sort of mixed materials meeting each other. And so uh, from my own days, starting with 3D printed resin, I very rapidly found that if you try to have a resin peg go
Racing with
into a resin
racing
hole,
is bad business.
yeah, it doesn't work.
It's very bad. I there's always people looking at my stuff and telling me openly that doesn't work. Resin with as it's not resin with resin. I never use resin with resin. It
Well,
gives the impression because they see the whole figure
right.
put it together and it's like no way. And I always been polite and also after I got some people coming back and telling me, "Thank you, man. I said, your solution is just help." I mean, people who do a lot of customs and really,
Yeah.
it's not just small account like mine. I'm talking about people who's really in the scene and write back to me and say, "Hey, just solve my problem
Mhm.
big time. Thank you." I'm that if I can give that for I'm more than happy. I'm I I I don't hold secrets. Every time somebody asks me, just use some another material. You will not regret. Resin with TPU doesn't really degrade.
Mhm.
It can hold for a long time. There's a point where the resin doesn't wear out, and it will stay there for years. It's just it will work fine. It gets a little bit loose, but like
Mhm.
any like any plastic or printing material. But
Mhm.
at some point, crystallize. It
Mhm.
doesn't wear anymore. The TPU is soft enough to take care of the resin, and the resin is not hard enough to wear the TPU. So it's like a good relation. They have a good. They
And so
will go.
how did you come upon this idea? Because to me, when I saw it, it reminded me I've been building Gundam model kits
I,
since I
I, I
was
wish I wish it was from one morning I wake up and I say I have the solution. It's not like it wasn't
oh,
like that. It's just a lot tried and error
okay.
and going back to the a box of pile of garbage and see what something after a few years it was still working and then just taking that choice at some point because at the beginning I never used resin with TPU. It was always EBS plastic with TPU.
Okay.
All my early designs are EBS with TPU, no
So
resin with TPU.
so
That one
is
is TPU with nylon.
okay. And
TPU with
so
nylon.
so for this older one, did you have the nylon parts printed by someone else?
No, by me.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I print those sockets by myself. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
is that on the filament printer that you have?
Because that is for every test print you have to pay a lot. So it's
Right.
better. I can control the tolerance of the TPU, but not the tolerance of the nylon.
Okay.
So it gives me control over the print because a test print it will cost you, I don't know, $50, $60
Hmm.
just the test print. And if the tolerance is not right, you have to
Had to
to
pay
get a
again.
yeah, print again and put. I told you it's the most expensive thing I ever did. You just make those figures in nylon, never again. Just
Yeah. Well,
spend
when
hundreds.
I had gone up to visit Gordon, he had showed that to me, and I was really impressed with the quality of the nylon. I mean, it was really amazing. But I'm sure that the headache of getting that first one in and it doesn't jive, it's like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? So the idea to insert the TPU and have those as a polycap system, Gordon and I, our brains have just like, exploded over it. We're like, it is
Yeah,
so ingenious.
it's ingenious and it gives a solution for everyone. It's not only for me. It's just
Yeah.
and the day I found that it was years ago, and I just fell in my I just fell in my back. I just fell and it was in the sitting on the floor like for a second. I say that can work. That can work, and that can solve a lot of problems with those prints and printing toys, and that will work. I was like in shock for few minutes because at the beginning I try different materials. I try PC, I try TPU, EBS, PLA. That role of TPU was around 5 years ago. It was there sitting in a pile of uh, rolls of plastic, and I was tired of having problems with my figures.
Hmm.
I try screws, I try plastic with plastic, and I thought it should be something different. It should be something that can work. And it was there sitting a cheap roll of TPU. It cost me $15, I think, the cheapest I could find
Hmm.
in in and I try first a socket and a peg. And when I put all together and I feel the tension, I say that can give me something, you know. And the first sockets I try were sockets, just round sockets, typical socket with EBS and ball joints. I think I have a few. No. I use it for quite for some time, and I still have those figures. And after 5 years, it's still working. So it was a good solution. And from there, then it evolved because I meet my first customer, my first ever customer, uh, asked me if I could replicate the Aglios figure.
Right.
It told me, listen, I love your figure. You know Glios, you know that, and I think I saw some Glios around in some people, but I didn't know how much of a subculture or toy line it was. I know they were there, but I didn't know much because I was all focused on making super articulated uh, things. And Glios, it looked to me like a nice statue, like a nice. It didn't look like a super articulated stuff to me.
Right.
Uh,
It's more designed like toys that
yeah,
came out when I was a child. If I think
yeah,
to,
those five points of articulation, and I love the sculpt, but I didn't I wasn't paying much attention. It didn't catch my eye at that time. But that friend, that guy, start talking about making some figures. So I start to dig to 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 understand what it was all about, no?
Hmm.
And the first figures, it, the, it were it was an amazing experience. It
Hmm.
just oh that gave me a lot to think about how to design stuff. A lot, a lot, really a lot. It just opened. It was an option. It was not the typical rocker
Hmm.
ankle. It wasn't the typical swing. It gave me a lot to think.
Well,
And
and what makes them so special is
yeah,
really so this is PVC plastic, and so it
mhm.
has that flexibility that
Yeah,
your TPU
it's
sockets have. And
yeah, yeah,
so you can take one Glios figure and see if I, oh, here we are. So this is another, this is by I, I think
Angry
it's
okay,
Hedgehog
Angry
out of
Hedgehog
okay,
in
he's out of Britain.
England. Yeah. And
yeah,
so
yeah.
you can take a completely different character's arm and combine it. And to me, I had a similar thing, Jacob, of if you just see the designs by themselves, they're simple. Um,
Yeah, it's
and it's only once you get two and start doing
yeah,
things like this that you
yeah,
start to
yeah, yeah.
realize the potential.
The potential is amazing, and that makes me that make change a lot the how I make the figures, how
Mhm.
I engineer them, because it shows what some universal system or standard system
Right.
can be used by different makers,
Mhm.
and that is something nice to share. So
Mhm.
why I decide to when I design the Artron, I decide to make certain compatibility,
Mhm.
because the idea of something universal, it was very attractive to me. I didn't claim it's Clio's compatible. I don't sell the stuff like another Clios,
Right.
Right.
because I want to keep also my part my it's not like I'm making a Glios figure, but I want them to be compatible, to
Mhm.
make the people understand what is it can be an alternative, or it can be also something what they can use at some point with their own figures or with their own collections. And actually, that is what happened. There is a lot of Glios collectors who, time to time, just ask me for one of my figures, and they they are grateful. They are grateful what my staff
Mhm.
has is friendly. It's has some certain compatibility, despite it's not the same spec system.
Well, to
And
me, your designs, they're extremely elegant in how they work because each each joint throughout all of the Artron, be it the ankle, be it
yeah,
the bicep, it's the same
it's the same.
ball fitting
It's
into
the
the
same.
socket.
It's the same piece repeating itself. It's not
Right,
like I'm making an arm. So
right,
you sculpt the biceps, you sculpt the forearm. No, the arm is the leg. The leg
right.
is the spine. It can be anything.
And to me, that's so incredible. I joined your Patreon because you made the Loomis figure available, which
Yeah,
I also love that you've made a
that is
mannequin.
amazing. That is
Yeah, so
amazing.
this was one that I ran. The body is all TPU
Thank
and I
you.
think a little bit of PLA for the stomach and maybe the shoulders, but the head is resin because you put
Yeah,
all this work into sculpting the
that
detail.
that's a very astronaut kind of uh, micronaut kind of looking guy.
But I love that, just by having the head, I can recognize that this is your work because I remember on the stream that Brett and I saw you on, you showed a little bit of your sketchbook and
Yeah.
your drawings. They look like this. They look like your sculpts.
Yeah, we're gonna need the Desktop Vandals art book to come out at some point. I'm a big fan of that.
It
We'll
can
need to
it
get.
can it can be possible. It can be, yeah.
I would love to get one. I think that'd be
Yeah,
amazing.
this is the second sketchbook
Oh
I
man.
know.
Wow.
And I never in my life, I came from an artist background. I
Okay.
I I thought what I was illustrator. I did some comics and I did some, but never in my life I draw that much until I started to make toys.
Well, you have to prototype everything and sketch out. So,
It's the second sketchbook. Second sketchbook. I'm about to finish that one. Look, it's only few blank
oh
pages.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Hold that up. Let's take a look at some of those for the our video. Look at that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is the last one.
Yeah,
Oh, I've seen, yeah, that's Juliet's
You
head.
can see all the designs here.
yeah. These are great.
This is the different
Mhm.
The different chest armors.
chess armors. This is the last guy.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
It's
that's
the
the new,
tactical
yeah, the tactical Artron.
Arcon. I didn't print the visor, but the idea was like that.
It looks like a
This
scouter from
model.
Dragon Ball.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't.
Oh, I love that little robot guy. That dude's awesome.
Yeah,
He's great.
that robot guy, I was thinking to make him in cardboard or something like that, something to assemble,
Oh, that'd
like
be
with,
fun.
Mhm.
yeah, something like you can a model a kit to put. It didn't come to life. There is a lot of sketches about systems, a lot of. I mean, the
Oh,
thing goes
gorgeous.
very mad. There
Oh,
is a stuff
wow.
Oh, wow, look at that
in that.
organic one.
That is incredible. Yeah,
Um,
we need the Desktop Vandals crowdfund for a PVC production figure. Holy smokes, look at that fella. I love that cape and the stat, like the spear staff.
yeah,
Very cool.
Or even if
shoulder
you go
pads.
back
I
a
found a
page.
way to make shoulder pads, typical shoulder robot shoulder pads. They are
Mhm.
coming.
Excellent.
I love seeing all the drawings of joints, and our previous guest, Lou, who does a 3D pen. He makes all his stuff just using a
That
3D
guy,
pen.
that is. I try myself to do stuff with the. I know that it's not something what you get the first day you try with the pen, eh? No,
But I was
you
he
have
would
to
love
burn a lot
seeing
of plastic before.
he would love seeing those drawings that you did of how the different joints are laid out because he was messaging me excitedly talking about how he carefully plans out his figures and sort of joint stuff. And to me, you have such a good mind both for the design of the faces and the characters and the sculpting, but you also have this wonderful mind for engineering, which I struggle with. So my figures tend to be a
Is
little bit simple.
I struggle too. I struggle too. I struggle is the most. It can be the most frustrating because you can see that axis and then this other axis, and it will make that move that way. But then no,
Well, and
you miss
two,
an axis, and then you end up with an arm. What it can just stand
mhm.
horizontally, or the axis it gets when they get into your head, they can confuse you a lot because it's always axis with axis. If it's not the axis is not well aligned, I play with parts that are out of axis, like the Juliet. If you notice the shoulders,
This,
they are
yeah.
out of axis.
Mhm.
But that gives a little of expression. It makes the shoulder where it can go up or down. It gives
Right. It gives her this little extra bit of
yeah
motion right there.
yeah.
And I actually like that your system uses the ball socket rather than the
Mm.
Glyos, where all you get with the Glyos is just a turn.
Yeah, it's just a swing. But that play is both. It use the both walls. Sometimes I make the peg shorter to only get a swing like a Glyos, but
Mhm.
it depends. With some figures, 1 degree, few degrees, 5 degrees makes a lot of difference in
It
a figure.
does.
Yep.
You think I have to make 45, 35, no? Sometimes with 15, 10, the party you spend enough to give you some expressivity.
Or something I am in awe of is on the new Mokobot, the elbow here.
Yeah, that
It's a
is a double
single
peg.
it's a single
Double peg.
elbow, but
That,
you've made the cut on the
yeah,
forearm. So
yes,
this is how a real human's arm works, of you
yeah,
have one
yeah,
point
not a
of
double.
articulation there,
And we
but
don't flex that much.
not right.
Normally for to get a nice expressions in an arm, you don't need to the whole arm to uh, bend
Right.
completely. I try to get the most of the minimum.
Mhm.
Sometimes people say, "Why is not a double peg, double join?" I can show you the same figure with the double join, and it will reach almost the same. This it will reach, and it will look more. It will not look that.
It doesn't look
Sometimes
as
you have to.
natural.
Yeah,
And
it will
so
not that
Yeah,
natural.
it gets too busy. It gets way
and
too busy in the sculpt.
as much as
Exactly, it gets too
I
easy.
love
Exactly.
I love Sousaphone's work, but here this is more robotic to me to have an elbow that does that.
Yeah, it gets too bulky to and the
Yep.
double pick it will take the weight of the two parts. Will a single joint it will give you an elbow, a more stylized elbow, and you will get that shape. And that comes from a guy who just I've been obsessed with articulation. I sometimes sacrificing those parts is hard to me
Mhm.
because I think I will not people will not consider that figure a full articulated figure, or they will just go and get a lucky 13 or just
Mhm.
put the aesthetics. It's something what I got from Glios. Sometimes the aesthetic or the look of the figure is more important than how much
Mhm.
range of movement you can give to the figure. It
Right.
has to be a balance between the aesthetics and the articulation because you will spend some time looking at it.
Mhm.
Right.
You want to feel proud of your creation. You don't want to.
Yeah.
You want to feel proud of it. You know.
Mhm.
Well, and the thing that I appreciate with what you're doing now with the resin, as much like I don't own any of your old nylon work, but I had a long background of working in resin, doing head sculpts and things like that, and the headache of just me working in that format pushed me to go into FDM printing. And
Yeah.
seeing what you were able to do with resin in the TPU system like we were discussing, it really gave me an appreciation for someone that really probably knocked their head against the wall plenty to get that system engineered. And it was like, holy smokes, this guy is doing it, and he's making incredible figures at a scale I really like because
Right.
outside of
Yes.
Glyos, no
No, there's
one's doing
nothing.
a 3-inch figure. And I think
Exactly. And
you've
it's
found a really
lovely.
great pocket to live in that I think is
Yes.
really, really outstanding. And then you go on to put out these upgraded articulation kits or height kits. So now you're not only putting out figures, you're also putting out accessory sets. So you can evolve that Artron into a 4-inch figure that will scale with, Knights of the Slice, Glyos, or even, into G.I. Joe and Star Wars and things like that. So I think it's awesome that you've been able to masterfully craft these articulated figures that are playable. You can beat
Right.
these things around and they're not going to fall apart like any other resin figure I've handled. So I'm just stunned with it. And then you're so kind on your Patreon to give out files for your old back catalog that we were able to start
Yeah.
going down the
And
rabbit hole of the spider system. And Gordon made a giant mech version. I mean, look at that thing.
Right. No, I had wanted a vehicle for
uh,
the
For the
custom one that you
Archer.
did.
Yeah, that's
This
his
villain.
vehicle.
and so he can sort of ride it like a
Spider
mech.
Mouth.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wanted to ask you though, so when you were growing up, was there anything that you were playing with that inspired you to get to do this
It,
kind of thing in the future? Or was it just like as you're older, like, hey, I'm into toys, I'll just start doing that?
the I didn't. The thing is, I didn't really when I was a kid. I really wasn't though like other kids who had a lot of toys.
Mhm.
Okay.
I I for some reason because my parents showed me to dismantle and breaking so many things, but they decided not to to give me any present, any toy, because as soon as I got something, I sit on top of it or I tear it apart. I
Mhm.
remember the first struggle I have with a toy. It was one of the dolls of my sister, and I pulled the head out, and I has had so much struggle to put the head in, but it really showed me what the anatomy, the how a toy works. I was more interested into break things apart and tear apart and see how they work than actually having them in the shelf for 2 days. I think none of my toys just last more than 1 day or two.
Oh
Oh my
wow.
And so
gosh.
my parents just decided, I'm kid, it is no for you. You destroy my collection of toy cars. You destroy the toys of your sister. You destroy the toys of your brother. We will not give you any toy. So when I was about 13, I get a job working dogs,
Okay.
and then is when I start to buy my own stuff.
Okay.
For a 13-year-old kid, I had a lot of money. So I was just go mad because all that thing that I didn't,
Hmm.
it wasn't in my room when I was a kid. I was actually able to get. So I think the first figure I bought with my money was a G. Joe, the Laser Trooper.
Uh,
The green fluor G. Joe Laser Trooper.
The Laser Trooper. Is that
okay.
is that sci-fi, I think, is the character?
Yeah, with
Yeah.
all fluor green, with a black visor, a big
Yeah.
rifle, a tube to
And
a black backpack. I was absolutely like, what the fuck? What is that? Just I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop articulating the figure, and
Hmm.
that
right.
was my first contact with a highly articulated figure. Apart from I think that is my first memory of an articulated figure, and I was absolutely amazed.
So would that be like early 2000s, or that must have been one of the more modern GI Joes, right? Not the ones
Yeah,
from.
I'm not sure if I was 13 or less because those they were from the 80s, 88.
Okay. So
I
they
think
didn't
that
they didn't
line it
have
was
the
from the
wrists
80s.
that moved, right?
No, it's
They
just
had
the
elbows
O-ring.
and yeah,
It was the
okay.
Yeah, the
O-ring.
albums. Yeah, the O-ring. I'm not sure if it was with the. I know I got the figure by myself,
Okay.
but I can't remember if it was later. But the only thing I remember that was my first figure. But then when I was able to buy toys, things, I went straight to models and minis for Warhammer.
Mm.
So I
Hmm.
was an avid miniature
Okay.
painter. So I spent a lot of time painting miniatures. So much, but I become a judge in the competitions
Oh,
when I
really?
was 15 years old
Oh
Wow.
because
wow.
it was like a kid judging the work of people who was 13 years old or 20. It was like, oh my God. I was also winning some competitions, and I was very that gave me a lot of understanding of how to work with materials.
Hmm.
So I love the plastic ones, the kits. So I think my love for plastic or how to work with it came from that time. And I think when I was printing my first figures, making them in EBS, I was perfectly. I love it. I I have one of the early ones here, but you can hardly.
Oh yeah.
This is one of my first figures. I print with EBS, and it uses screws.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, look at that.
And that is the bile joint is just EBS with EBS. To engineer that, it was just crazy to make that. Give me so much. That was one of my first figures.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So when you're doing the design on this, what software do you like to use to do the designs? And you use like something like Fusion 360 or
That is the thing. I didn't know. I moved from Barcelona to the countryside. This is the
Mhm.
countryside. There's nobody around. If I
Okay.
open
Okay.
the door, you will only the stars, and maybe a cat will come in. And this almost it's so I thought I wanna just start something. I didn't really know what I wanted. I've been always uh, I always draw.
Mhm.
So my first idea was just to try to be an artist. I came here and I didn't know, so I just got a copy of ZBrush, and I think it was in the 2017,
Okay.
something like that. And I spent my savings and some equipment. I bought a copy of ZBrush. I learned it was quite a hard learning curve,
Mhm.
Oh
that
yeah.
program. And my first printer. And I started straight away to my first project. It was a mannequin.
Mhm.
I wasn't really thinking about toys. So I started with a mannequin, and I thought this project is very ambitious because I wanted to make a replica of the how the bone system of the real human body works.
Mhm.
So it was very ambitious, very ambitious. It was not just the typical arm mannequin. So I wanted to make all the wrist system with the two
Right, the two bones that sort of
with the two bones.
cross.
I have a replica. I think I have something. One of them survived. Let me check.
I would love to see this. This is the deep lore that we're after, Brett.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, I'll
I
wear the
have
arcane tomes.
I have some pieces here.
Oh yeah.
That was the idea. Don't laugh about
Uh,
that. That imagine that is how mad
oh, wow. That's insane.
Oh my God.
yeah, no, don't.
I
That's
know.
This
crazy.
is
It's
very
so
embarrassing,
good.
man.
Yeah.
And, and the collarbone,
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
and
you actually
the
missed out on having a job with 1,000 toys. You know,
Right.
you
Now
could have
this
been
is
handling
you. This is Sentinel work. Yeah.
the.
wait. That you wait. Look at that.
Oh, oh, wow. Oh, it
What?
collapses into the
It has a
thigh.
flap,
Unreal.
in the and a flap, and that also retracts
Oh,
the also the.
yeah.
So the idea was to follow to be anatomically correct.
Mhm.
So the knee is only one single axis, but
Right.
it bends like a double joint.
Right. And
Yeah,
I,
and the rotula move.
mhm. So Jacob,
It
you
ends
must have,
up in the right place. It has I don't know if there are 3 or 4 parts in the
mhm.
just to make the knee to be
That's
to end
incredible
up.
work.
There's a mechanism that puts the knee in the right place.
Mhm.
So this is ridiculous. This is just when I started doing that is I already when I was able to make the first prototypes,
Mhm.
I know I was going nowhere. That was for that was too ambitious. So I thought, okay, now I know how to sculpt, I know how
Okay.
to print, let's relax a little bit and start to do things what are less ambitious, less complex. And then is when I started with the first toys, the BG, the Mokubot, and some of them. And that more or less that is what brought me to make toys. It was the mannequin.
Okay.
When I was making the mannequin, I saw how other people was actually making 3D printed toys, like David Wade, and it was some other people around too. And I was fascinated to see how the color separation, and just thinking what you can get the parts with the different colors and actually look and feel like plastic. It was just amazing. I from that moment I say, okay, just put the mannequin project aside and just try to do something different with what you just with the knowledge and what I got at the moment. And then is when I started with the toys. That was just that moment. Yeah.
So when you were sort of coming up with designs and looking to other artists to get ideas, was it just other 3D printed toys, or your stuff to me it reminds me a little bit of like your early stuff reminds me of Ashley Wood and 3A, if you've ever seen those sort of the
Yeah,
large.
they were at the time they were the most detailed and weather stuff you can. Now that is over. This everything is very detailed and it has the look of a highly detailed custom. It's not like a few years ago you could see a toy or a toy line where it just looked like a toy and some custom work, and you could see the difference. I was very attracted by the work of the people who was actually making customs or creating something new from something from a specific body or whatever. And I that connects that that impact that brought back that miniature painter when I was a kid. And it's okay. So I can use those skills what I learned when I was a kid making those minis and turn it into something that it can be articulated, can be used for to create the scenes. The whole thing, because I was working in a photo studio when I was a few years ago. I was making studio pictures.
Okay.
So the whole thing it just came. It was just coming all together, and it was I found it wonderful. You know, seeing that those people making those customs, creating those scenes, taking those shots in the in locations, or creating the scenes. It was very nice. It really connect with that, with with everything what I've been doing since I was a kid.
Now,
So
to me, that's very similar to my experience of I've loved to draw since I was a kid. I
yeah,
like
everything
sculpting. I like going and taking pictures outside. So
yeah,
to make your own figure and then do toy photography really
exactly,
lets you combine everything together towards sort of one
exactly.
project.
It's a combination. And sometimes I think I make the figure just to take the picture.
Oh,
Or,
we've definitely felt that way sometimes with both of our stuff.
Is it because it's that moment is when the whole work becomes something special.
Mhm.
It fills that gap that needed, because when you have an idea, it's an empty space. There's nothing there.
Hmm.
So when you finally have the physical uh, form,
Mhm.
it fills the gap automatically. It can be
Right.
for good or for bad. Sometimes it can be like, oh my God, I want I want to go back to the gap because that doesn't thing doesn't really work. But if you fills the gap, that is it seems, but everything it has that purpose, just to get to the moment. Sometimes the picture, one good picture, is it just uh, makes the whole time worthy.
Well, that's how you tell the story, and
Yeah.
your designs are so evocative of characters and stories, even without you writing lengthy explanations. Though I do actually very much like reading your Instagram posts when you do a little bit of writing underneath.
Yeah,
It
but
gives,
I noticed what there was not much when there is a has been a moment where the time is too precious. I like
Yep.
to write, and then sometimes you get so exhausted. You finish the figure, you have the whole movie in your head, but okay, you are satisfied with the end result.
Mhm.
So if people ask, it's fine, but it's more time. If you spend the whole morning taking the shots,
Mhm.
the afternoon assembling or preparing the stuff. So then when you end up so exhausted, what they just making the rating is too much. You just lose the whole concentration and you don't know really where you are. So sometimes I decide just to put the image,
Mhm.
and the nice thing is get the feedback of people start to get the whole his whole own idea. They get
Right.
feedback. What's this? And they say, I think I imagine that, and that also stimulates. You don't give the whole thing. If you
Right.
give everything cook, there is no room for other. There's no room for other stuff. If you make everything clear, there is no room. A lot of people has been asking me for the lore of the Trony, and I say this: you have to create your own.
Right.
Don't
No, and to
be
me, that brings me so much happiness when I give a figure to someone and I see them writing something about it or telling a photo
mm,
story, is that's sort of what brings these things to life. It's if you go out and take pictures or imagine a
exactly.
story yourself. I as the person who designed my figure have my own ideas, but what I'm interested in is when I hand it to somebody else, what stories
Exactly.
they can tell, because they're bringing their own ideas into it. So it
Exactly.
becomes a
And that
collaboration.
is wonderful. I can have my whole idea, but yeah, I can share it, no problem. But I prefer to hear about what they can tell me about it.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's a toy. Is to let your imagination flow. You
Hmm.
need to if one of my toys became a good companion for the owner,
Hmm.
and he can come back to me and tell me a full whole story about it, I did my job.
Right.
And from that moment, I did my job. I can, it's the
Hmm.
most wonderful thing it can happen when you get that feedback from someone with some other artists just make that figure their own. It's not like, okay, I have another Darth Vader Stormtrooper, and
Hmm.
it will have the same name.
Right.
But when somebody come and give me a different name, that
Hmm.
from that moment he make that figure, his own character, and that is the most. I found that more special than give the whole thing.
Right. And I think your designs also are strike a very good balance of the the Artron. It could be so many different characters or people, or even, you know, the Mokobot. It could be evil, it could be good, it could
Yeah,
depend on the day.
exactly,
And
exactly.
it's wonderful to see, by giving them different props. If it has a sword, it's a swordsman. If it has a gun, now it's a policeman. or I really like your ones you've done with the cloak and the little
Mm.
staff where they're like a
Yeah,
journeyer.
Yeah.
that character is never dies. There's
Mhm,
always time to time there's always a request for that. It's a very because it's the non-violent character. It
right.
represents the explorer, the peace, the knowledge,
Mhm,
the pilgrim, the one. But a pilgrim is a very generic word. I
right.
didn't give the
Hmm.
word. A pilgrim is very generic. So people also get that sense where they can evolve from there
Mhm,
because I'm not giving a lore. I don't get, and I've been asked many times for the lore. I have the lore. I promise you, I have the lore right
right.
there's a whole world around, but seeing that what you just told me, I think it's for me it's more valuable. It has
Mhm,
more value than just imposing something. And no, that is not what I say. And people will say, no, he says that character is not that. And somebody will go into a chat and start arguing with somebody with saying that no, that character, he made that character that way, and why you there to
right.
tell me what they say? No, everybody can just uh, uh, build his own story, and I think it's something. It's a similar idea with the Motu Masters.
Mhm,
Yep.
That you got the power.
Hmm.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think those are
I
powerful things. You know.
Yeah, I really like the open-endedness and the vagueness of it. You know, it gives I think a lot about do you follow the Craftsman at all on YouTube? The puppet fella that makes he makes these. He did a
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah, yeah,
he did a
yeah.
really good interview with a friend of mine, Adam Crone, and they were talking about old Star Wars toys from the 70s, like the original Kenner ones. And he had made the comment, he said, I really like that you know this character is Han Solo, but it doesn't look like Harrison Ford. And because it gives room for us and for you with the stuff you're doing, I love that you're leaving room for the buyer to tell that story and drive their own narrative. Now, Gordon and I certainly want the lore book. You know, we want your comic. We want the arcane tome of Jacob Sanchez and Desktop Vandals. I want to know all of it. But for the people that, I appreciate not knowing it just as much because it lets me imprint onto it. And I think that's a really awesome thing that in a world where we're driven by intellectual property and we're constantly being inundated with story this and story that, and this is how that goes. I think having something vague that's meaningful and artistically done is very, very rare. And I think that's why your stuff is so successful.
Yeah, thank you. That is is exactly one of the reasons because I wanna go contra. I wanna go against. No,
Right.
not in a bad way, but
No, of course not.
You want to provide an alternative, a different
Yeah.
yeah,
choice.
exactly an alternative because it has to be always a square. No, I can just be I can make those toys part of your. It's also why I make so many parts, so
Hmm,
many accessories, because in that way, at some point after seeing the options, people came back and asked me for those specific parts to build a specific character.
hmm,
And there is something what I comes to my mind sometimes, but I don't really make the figures or the characters. Sometimes happen, but sometimes I feel what is it really the people who ask me, the people who keep supporting my work, who really make the figures. I just give that option, and I give my studio and my skills to make them in that way. But the most most of them aren't just my creation.
hmm,
That space monster is not my creation. It's your idea. You ask me, I want this with those colors. And from that moment, that figure exists in that specific
hmm,
color scheme. And but this, I didn't decide that.
But what's
And
so
is there, and
special to
maybe
me,
tomorrow somebody will ask me to 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 make another one like yours, and
Mhm.
it happens. It happens.
But what's so special to me is I took a picture of a Micronauts toy and said, Jacob, I like these colors. But I sent that to you, and then you made your own choices about giving it a
Exactly.
cape.
And I
And
need that freedom. I need that freedom, and I need people like you who trust my work.
Mhm,
I sometimes I encounter I found myself with the situation with there's no that is cut from me, and
mhm.
I can work in that way. So everybody who got something, a figure or a special custom, and that custom exists because I had that choice. If I can make the choice, I can work.
Right.
If I can make my own decision, it's the only moment of freedom I can get along the day. It's just be sure and decide what I will make them in that way.
Mhm.
If you come to me and say I don't like it, you have to change it. This is over.
Well,
It's over
and what's
because
great is you still sell the blank ones. And so
Hmm.
yeah,
I
exactly. If you want something,
I'm
yeah,
not as good
yeah.
a painter as you are, Jacob. You probably would judge me poorly if I
Oh
was
no,
in a
that is
contest.
that 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 is also I love that cover. It's bold, and I like when the things are bold and yeah.
Mhm. But
It's,
I also love seeing, other customers of yours or people who are on your Patreon and how they interpret your designs because it reminds me it reminds me so much of is the Lego that I grew up with before it was Star Wars Lego, before it
yeah,
was
but that,
Marvel Lego. They were just bricks, and sometimes they would have themes. It would sometimes be knights, it would sometimes be space, but
yeah,
it allowed this same sort of
yeah.
flexibility of here's an idea of a character, but you tell the story. The story is your own. Um, we're just giving you the parts to play with.
Those are the influences because um, I don't, like I said before, I don't wake up one morning and say I have the great idea. I walk on the shoulders of a giant. There's a
Mhm.
lot of things that has been made before I started, so I'm not afraid of using those concepts. And there's something I have the feeling what a system it will prevail in time more than just a toy line. A
Mhm.
system it will prolong itself in time more than a toy line. You make a
Well,
toy line, specific toys, they will become a collectible and they will stay in yourself and it will be part of the of something what happened or it was released at certain time. But systems doesn't.
mhm. Well,
Systems
your
are there
system is
forever.
already propagated. Brett's robot, the
The
Orbix,
Orbix,
the
yeah,
one that's a big circle with it has
Yeah,
the
hands that can
interchangeable
change out.
hands.
And
Yeah,
so that's his most popular with children.
yep.
yeah.
I he's when Brett came up for a show this past fall, and that was the piece that he sold to a young kid who had come
Exactly.
with his
It's the
father.
people who make you. Is that response? But I'm sure, Brett, when you look at your figure in a different way after that, isn't it?
Right.
Absolutely.
And I have a young boy. He's only 3 years old. He'll be 4 in February. But I love toys. I love collecting. I'm very much into so many different things. But the thing that frustrates me terribly is there is so much that has been robbed from childhood. We felt the need to take Batman and make him hyper aggressive and make him age with us, which is fun, but a lot of that gets left behind, and that
Yeah,
there's no magic for them anymore. And toys
exactly.
are very much the same way. So when I go to these big toy conventions or shows, it's really not for all ages, it's for adults. And it drives me nuts because it's like there are so many opportunities here that we could be creating for a new generation to inspire kids with something that's not Spider-Man, that's not Batman, that's not Star Wars, that's not, XYZ or whatever property that's left over from the 80s. That
Yes,
it's so when I
yes,
had made these big 6-inch robots with interchangeable limbs, I was like, I'm gonna see if I can try to use the TPU system you did in my own way
Hmm.
and really buff it up for FDM so it'll work. And I had interchangeable weapon systems. And I sent you all these photos. And I did it for the articulation on the feet to be kind of like a rocker ankle type thing you would see
yes,
in like
yes.
Gundam. And all four of them ended up going to kids or someone that had kids.
Fantastic.
So, and it
Yes,
was
yes,
like, and sure, I had some other stuff go to adults, and that's fine too. But it was so great to have adults come back and like,
yes,
oh, do you have any more of those big robots? And I say, nope, I just sold it to some kids, and they're like, what the heck, man? But
yes.
I would rather it go to the kids, and hell, I'd rather lose money and make sure I make half the money and it goes to a kid because they're actually going to play with it. My stuff's
Right.
going to sit on a shelf and rot if it
Yeah,
goes to an
yeah,
adult, and I don't want that. It's
agree.
built to be played with.
You will probably make a big impact to that. That kid probably will go around with that toy for. It will become part of his memories.
Hmm.
It's
Right.
it's a big thing. It's a big thing when a kid chose your creation. That is a wonderful thing to really, because you don't know exactly the motivation of an adult.
Right.
It can be
Right.
used because it match the color. I get
Hmm.
a lot of requests to match colors of an existing thing,
Hmm.
Hmm.
and it's like, okay, I'm just programmed to have figures what match those colors. I will ask that guy to to make that figure to match that color. What is fine, but if you create something like just come from your imagination, and you can connect with a young fellow, a kid, what is just so open at that time. It is I think that tells you more than tells you a lot more.
Hmm.
Just because, as you say, it's interesting, no? Those conventions are for adults. You don't say it's a toy fair or toy convention, and it's mostly adults buying the
Hmm.
toys. So achieving that is just, and I'm not surprised. Your toys, they look wonderful.
Oh, well,
So
thank you.
it's it's,
Yeah.
it's,
I've
it's
tried
good.
to I've
I
tried to
I
make sure they're fun for everybody. It's not just
Yeah,
it's
they
not
are
just not the
fun,
adult
and
collector.
yeah, and then they are fun. They have that uh, that look of toy. It doesn't pretend to be nothing else
Right.
than a toy. And that, in in fact, I'm more comfortable with my toys when they look like toys. When I
Hmm.
go to detail, I mean, Mokubot, I think is probably the most detailed, and then you get a lot of wows, oh wows, but it's not the thing what I carry in my pocket.
Right.
It's
To
Hmm.
not,
me,
the one who just
actually,
that
these
that
two
that
are,
those
they look like friends. They look
they
like,
look
Yeah.
they look like they came from the same forest, or the same park, or the same,
right.
yeah, they are. That I just
And to
those
me,
eyes
that's great.
and
And there is something very much, I think, about the figure that can fit in your hand like that. That's very special that you can put in a pocket that you can put
yes,
in your camera
yes,
bag. Um,
yes. I spend a lot of time playing with the figures, and it's until I'm not satisfied of how the performance. I don't consider it finished. It doesn't matter how it looks.
mhm,
If it doesn't perform, if you don't feature, you don't feel, if you don't feature, if it's not ready to feature,
mhm,
it's not. Some figures are more difficult to pose. Maybe they have better looking, but if it's hard to pose, it's hard to. It's something get lost at that point. It's better to have something simple, what it doesn't fall apart, what you can get the pose right, even if it's less articulated, than something that is very super articulated and you never get it. Told you I bought a lot of blank bodies time ago.
Okay.
Used to make customs, and I just they are pain. Damn toys and things like that. It's horrible to handle those things. Just the ankles, they don't get the angle right to keep the feet on. I was very determined, and so I got many of them. I was buying damn toys. I was the 3A bodies, and after a while, it wasn't a figure what I was carrying or taking. The only one I think it was quite okay was the figurats, HS figurats. The figurats to Darwin, it was quite cool. The guy, it was quite nice to pose. To pose, it has nice expression. The HS, the
Are you
figurat.
familiar with there's a smaller line that Bandai does where they do Kamen Rider. I think they're called Shoto. But they're like the size of a GI Joe. And actually when you made Loomis available, what made me so excited was like I can have every single one of these that I could possibly want now because this is the same form and they move the same way of they have the same elbow joint. They have I guess this does the knee so it extends a little bit further.
Like the figurats. Yeah.
And so this is almost like a figure arts. It's just been scaled down. But to me, this is so much. It's so much of a better size because you can take it out and do a quick photo without having to have an elaborate setup. Also, I'm running out of space, so that's always a consideration. Let me look back to my. Oh, something I wanted to ask you, Jacob, is sort of. I was curious, what influenced you to kind of stick to science fiction and robots? Are there other artists that you're looking at, or?
It happened when at that time when I was working dogs. I've been always a fan of science fiction and fantasy. I had the whole collection of Fangoria. I was buying magazines. I visit the shops in Barcelona with all the shops of comics, models, toys are in the same street. It's not like it's in one town, there's one shop. No, all the shops of war games are in one street. So you can just start from the beginning of the street with an empty backpack. And when you get the last shop, your backpack is completely.
Right.
And I was spending a lot of time on those places. I bought the avid collector of magazines, and I watch a lot of VH movies when the time of the tapes. A lot of ovas and manga films.
Okay.
It was a time where to get in those movies, you need to have a contact. It's not like now. You go to, so I remember going with, I was 13 or 15, going with fellas about 20 years old, and meet a guy with a backpack and just deliver a few movies on tape and go to watch Urutsukidoji or, I don't know, Appleseed and all of that, that stuff, Alita. All that stuff has been, my mind influence. When I think about cyborgs, pues you have Alita, robots, Appleseed. When you have bad guys on motorbikes, was Otomo. when you have monsters or Carpenter or I don't know, Cliff Barker, you know, I also watch a lot of old movies. I like stuff from the 60s, the stuff, rare stuff. I go always to the archive, internet archive, to look at old movies like Charlton Heston, like Soylent Green. It's an incredible old science fiction movie. Zardos, Zardos.
Oh, with
Sean
Sean
Connery,
Connery? Yeah, I love
yeah,
Zardoz.
Bournemouth, that John Bournemouth, that movie, Excalibur, the old one from the same director.
Yep.
I consume tons. So I think my figures have a little bit of everything, a little bit. Those are basically my influences. It's rare. It's no. I was quite not a geek, but very curious. I never been a geek, I'm at a school and those things, but I've been always very curious. I love movies, I love magazines, I love all that stuff. And art, photography. I spend a lot of time looking at photography books, art books.
That actually reminds me of something that I wanted to ask about, because you have this extensive catalog of your work on Flickr. Was that sort of your primary way that you found materials before Instagram, or were you using Tumblr or other sites before that?
I was a little bit tired of Instagram, the way it works. It doesn't really help, unlike the old days when you put hashtag and you connected with people much better. So I was looking for an alternative to feel in a more quiet and nice space. So I started to load material there, but I stopped it. It wasn't much interaction. So I feel a little bit it was cool, like just putting stuff there. I'm glad you both just found my stuff. And also a Japanese guy found my stuff there and he just asked me for figures.
That's
that's
very
awesome. Yeah, that's great. There's nothing better than the feeling of getting your stuff halfway across the world.
Yeah, it's incredible. When I got those orders from Japan, I was like, if I can sell a toy to a Japanese collector, I think I can.
Yeah, you've made it. You've done it.
Yeah, I done it. That's it. It was like, wow, my first Japanese customer. It was amazing.
Yeah.
He only orders in August. I don't know why. He came every August asking me for something. I don't know why. Maybe it's holidays there, and he can just. I have no idea, but it was a very nice thing.
Well, I think it's also great that you have started the Patreon and that you have that chat going. And Brett and I have loved that as sort of a way to exchange with you, because Instagram has not, or it's very hard to have conversations.
It's very hard. It's very hard.
And so having other areas where you can actually go back and forth and talk to the artists that you like or other people who are creative is great.
I think Patreon is very important it's very important for that reason to share and work and chat. It's the first time I did something with Patreon. I was amazed with the place. It reminds me a lot the old days of internet, where you have those chat forums and so on.
Right.
It was very nice. Unfortunately, recently I didn't have much time. Every day I wake up and I have to go back. I need to make some content, but it's been a lot of work recently.
Well, you should post this conversation there. We'll give you this conversation, because I think this is what it would be, is
Yeah,
showing a little bit behind the scenes of all this incredible work that goes
yeah,
to make these figures. And
yeah, yeah,
that's why I signed up for your Patreon is I wanted to know more
yeah.
about the process.
Yeah, I really appreciate that because uh, toy making, as you know, you read for
Oh yeah.
sure, it doesn't get the same value of making a plastiline sculpt or some doodles.
Mhm.
You spend 6 months making a toy, and maybe you post it, and it will be like no, no, nobody will. You have to live with that.
Mm.
you know, you have to get some motivation from other places. You will not get that motivation if you post a drawing, you make a nice sketch, and you will get a lot of more reaction, and it's something what you did in 5 minutes.
Mhm.
You
Although
may
I feel like what it has become is it's almost back to how it would be word of mouth. So you were mentioning like the old days where you'd have to go know somebody to get a videotape. Um, that's because
Yes.
we're all working against how Instagram works now. I have to tell Brett, Jacob posted something new. You have to see this, and I'll send him the
Yep.
photo. And then Brett will, send it to Derek or to Kenneth. And so it will go from person to person rather than we're able to just find it on the internet anymore.
Yeah, it is more difficult. It's more difficult to share content. When I started a few years ago, I was surprised. I was surprised how people was able to find you.
Mhm.
You know, it
Hmm.
was incredible, no? Seeing how people were very interested and aware of your work. I think it's more difficult. I love to see people doing their own stuff.
Mhm.
And if I can, I love to share but it's very difficult. I can see how difficult it's for them to reach the public, especially when it comes for toy making. You
Mhm.
need your friends, you need the community, you need the people to support you. Otherwise, you will think what your work is worthless. It doesn't.
So
It's, it's
in in Spain do you know any other toy makers there?
in Spain. In Spain, it's curious, but this is the country where I saw less. I will sell to Hungary, France, England,
Mhm.
and so Asia, some countries. I have some in Indonesia, Malaysia, uh, even China,
Oh,
Oh,
very
very
nice.
even
cool.
even China. But Spain, no. And I think part of that is because there is no the idea of self or doing something by yourself is not that big as in America. In
Mhm.
America, there is that thing of the lemonade
Stand. Oh yeah,
juice,
Yeah.
yeah, or
right.
cutting the grass. What show you or teach you very quickly what you can just do something by yourself, you
Mhm.
know. In countries like Spain, it's about the family, it's
Mhm.
about
Mm.
your connections. It doesn't matter what you do.
Mhm.
No artist in Spain has become famous in Spanish territory. It has become famous. Picasso wasn't famous because he was from Malaga. It's because he lived in France for a while.
Mhm.
Dali, he wasn't famous because they promote him. He promote himself. He make a product of his art. So he create the product himself. He create
Mhm.
his own museum. He create the whole product. So when you think about art in Spain, it's not the same.
Mhm.
It's not the same as art in America. Americans, French, other countries understand what understand very well what it means to do something by yourself.
This is the second half of the episode, or however long we go until I
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
I get dropped again.
Part
But
two. Yeah, Gordon cut all of that. Any and all
no.
plans for world domination we discussed in your absence.
But the last thing I heard was Jacob, that you said that you would be potentially interested in a convention, and I was curious.
Yeah.
So have you ever set up a table with your work at any sort of
No,
event?
no,
Oh my
no, I
Lord.
That's a
never.
shame.
And
Yeah,
I, I, I think it will be cool.
Hmm.
I know there are conventions and cosplay,
Hmm.
comic. It was a big festival in Barcelona back in the day, the comic show, a manga show,
That would be a
where
great place for you.
yeah, I I think a place like that. But the problem is normally I end up with no stock. To be,
Right.
the truth, I don't have most of my toys here. Sometimes I even sell the prototype because it get if it's demand and I have the figure there, it means what I will save few
Mhm.
hours of time.
I, I
So
I'm not
it's very
surprised.
strange. But if you look, I almost not have toys
Hmm.
around. I keep some with but are. So when I think about conventions, those things have to be planned with a few months in advance, or even
Yeah.
more,
hmm
or even the half year. I think to have all the material and the and organize everything, it will take a few months. I never got the chance of having that time to plan something like that. I
Hmm.
would love it, but because there is always some demand, or I end up with no time. To be honest, this is one of the hardest jobs I ever have in my life. Making toys. I love it. I still have the passion for them. It used to really, because that moment it really uh, it makes the thing, you can recharge the batteries, no, when you are
Hmm.
just away from the studio.
Right.
hmm
But sometimes I've been working from 5 to 5:30, 6 to 9,
Yeah.
uh, until I can just stay up until I
Yep.
completely
You have to
exhaust.
just, right. You have to lie down.
Yeah. It's the hardest. It's the hardest. It's just be keeping all the orders, all the commissions, all the and having time to prototype or make something new
Mhm.
is incredible, incredible. Very hard.
Well, everybody who's watching should join your Patreon at the highest level so that you can have more time to
Yes.
make things. Um, because
Yeah,
Yeah, the
absolutely.
idea of
the
the Patreon was that if if people can help develop certain figure. I tried with the Lomis,
Mhm.
but people was more likely to just get the files and then disappear.
Yeah,
I
no, they
Right.
totally
shouldn't do that.
understand, but yeah, but I they didn't give time to develop. Okay, they got
Mm.
those files, but they would be better files. So
Well, they
Well, they
missed
might have
out
got those,
on,
but they missed out on all this stuff. They missed out on the
yeah,
backlog and then the Patreon gifts you just sent out of that
yeah,
incredible skull guy.
right.
Yeah,
yeah,
check that out.
And each of these
yeah, and
Yeah,
is
I
Skull Commander.
unique by you, Jacob, because you hand applied the
yeah
dyes and then the
yeah
resin. And
yeah
so,
I apply the it's so unique only for my patrons, and that is I my way to say thank you. Just use a unique, and I make that base, the base to just
Right.
to place. That is another pending project. Just
Oh,
making,
check that out. That's really cool.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
yeah, just
reflective sticker, and so
yeah,
take it
Oh,
out.
hell yeah.
like some copper
Nice.
grid. It's like a space grid.
Hmm.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It reminds me of like something you would see on a solar panel, like the
Yeah, yeah.
metal reflective flakes. That's really cool. That's a fun
And to
project.
is
Yeah,
to place the figure.
I love the mixed media you're doing, where sometimes it's not just the figure, you're doing stuff like that. And I really enjoy what you've been doing with some of like the laser cut soft goods, like the
Yes,
puffer
yeah.
vests, the cloaks, and I love the holsters you've done for some of the Artrons. I think it's really cool to see these different formats and materials you're working with that
Yeah,
aren't just printed figures. Because I think when you start to get some of those other elements on there for the accessories, or like that copper reflectives thing you had there, it really helps elevate the project to being something
it,
really
it
special.
it does, and is what it makes it brings the figure to life, because
Yes.
as soon as you give the figure a backpack, a belt, a holster, is that's it. There is something. The figure is telling you what is ready to do something.
Yeah, he's ready for adventure.
Yeah, it's ready for adventure, and that is what the whole fun starts. And you asked me if I was working on something.
Yeah, Gordon, you missed this. So
Okay.
here, welcome
Oh,
back.
okay.
Yeah.
The
Top
other day I
secret.
came with that idea of using um, extensions. It's like a wire.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
The wire, it helps the figure to balance with more acrobatic poses.
Hmm.
Nice.
So
That's really cool.
Oh, that's
the
like your those large scale of the female
yeah, it can use
Look
mannequins.
at that.
the yeah,
Wow.
it's one of the yeah, exactly. I make a
Nice.
version of the cyborg.
Hmm.
The thing with the you can actually use the to make poses, but otherwise you will be
Nice.
unable. You will have always to have the figure in
Kneeling.
Right.
kneeling.
Yeah.
So the the wire looks like if it's just it doesn't looks like if it's holding the figure. It looks quite natural.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. You're just adding
That's
that
amazing.
extra point of
Yeah,
contact. And I remember that other design
yeah,
you have with the
exactly.
the gun head and the three legs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I really like that
exactly,
one too.
exactly. See, there are options. So when it comes to play or and with the figures, there's many options. You can make it like that those old toys where they just have uh, a weight in the bottom and it never fell.
Oh,
Hmm.
right. Yep.
It doesn't matter how much. You can do the same with a robot. You can just put some weight inside and pretend what the robot. So there's there's always something you can do. For example, the spiders, they have a
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
hook in the back.
I noticed that.
You can yeah, you can use that hook to to hang the spider like it was like a real spider. It's part
Hmm.
of the
Brett and I like, or we were both really like using little bits of rope or string to make grappling hooks for
Oh, yeah.
figures.
Yeah, big on that. Whenever you had released the Spider-Bot files, when I had first started the run of these at home and I scaled them up, this is right at the end of summer when we still had good weather here before the snow came. And my son and I were real big on getting chains or string, and these were hanging off our back patio deck. So that was like a really good like end of summer play thing that we were doing. It really fun. But yeah,
okay.
I love that mixed media option. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so while b before the call crashed over our talks for world domination, what do you have anything new on the horizon next year that you'd like to share today, or anything you'd like to talk about for
So
2026?
there's I've been thinking a lot to use the figures in uh, as a characters for a game.
Oh, that
Oh
would be fun.
man, we would love that.
So I love it a lot, the Dreadnoughts and the big figures from the war games.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I think it's still the BattleTech box. There's some games there.
Hmm.
I think you can still some games there in the back. So my child.
Oh, so you're
Okay.
thinking of making like a tabletop game with the figures?
Yeah, let me
Oh,
let me show
wow.
you something. Wait. Let me
Yeah, let's
get it
go. Do it
Let's
because
live.
go. Yeah.
I have a prototype here somewhere there. There it is.
Oh, wow. This could be
It's,
huge because
Yeah.
there's a whole nother world of tabletop gamers. Yeah,
Oh,
look at
check
that.
that.
That game. That's like our
I
friend
think
Derek had
Yeah.
something similar
you
as an
saw
idea.
that in some of my posts. I
Yeah.
Wow. Check that out. And that laser cut?
Yes,
Okay.
and listen, cat and a biscuit box. I use the a biscuit, some biscuit
Nothing
boxes
goes to waste.
to
Nothing goes to
prototype.
waste. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome, man. That looks
And
sharp. Are you laser cutting yourself? Do you have a laser cutter you'd use?
yeah,
Okay.
I have a small one. It's very small,
Okay.
and I've been waiting to have time to use it more because
Hmm.
you can really get not only for the Eva foam to cut accessories, the capes, but also to do terrains.
Mhm.
Yeah,
More,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
yeah, that is incredible. I told you I got
Hmm.
obsessed. I was sketching and trying to find a system. That one is the first prototype. In theory, you can use the flaps to hold it, but I will go back to the old game boards and
Hmm.
just put them together and use a thicker cardboard, like let's say 3 microns, something thicker.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Use just some clips like the old. I was thinking to use the figures as the as the characters
Yeah.
Yeah.
for the game because the size is not it doesn't it's not that difference of a dreadnought or
Right.
a titan or something what I
Or
was
isn't
perfectly fine with that size when I was
isn't
playing.
there, do you know Inquisitor? That's like the
Yeah,
larger one character Warhammer game.
you mean the
There's
a Terminator Inquisitor or just Inquisitor
I think I
or
remember
Drake?
it's been a long time since I played at least 10 or 15 years, but I remember there as well as the 28 millimeter scale uh,
Yeah,
game, there's also a
yeah,
larger
Titan.
scale.
Yeah, the Titan. Yeah, the Titan. It was epic, no? With the Titans,
I
epic scale.
oh it's sort of the opposite. So
Opposite, okay.
rather than having like spaceships, it's you're just
Yeah.
playing one
I,
person of you're like a mutant or you're a bounty hunter. And so that the miniature would actually be closer to 3 inches.
yeah,
So
I
it's a
think
larger model.
yeah, I recall something like that. I
Mhm.
can't really, but I recall something where it was. I remember because the truth is that games never been limited to a scale to a certain
Right. Yeah,
scale.
you
If
can
you
make it
read,
up. And
yeah.
the
If you read about games or books, it's optional. Has been always optional.
and I'm actually I listen to a podcast that's done by people here who play Warhammer. And a lot of the same ideas that go into customizing your models or making game boards or
Yes,
terrain, it's the same thing we're doing here. with 3D printed
Exactly.
figures.
Hmm.
Exactly.
I
And
don't know why these people don't talk to each other because it's the
yeah,
same thing.
because you do what is more familiar to you, what you just is you, all humans tends to go with the to uh,
Stay with the people they know. Yeah, stay with your
yeah,
in-group or your
exactly,
friends. But
exactly. So those th- those things are I know there are some other makers who they are making large figures for games.
mhm.
I think it's called Fantasy Weaver. One of the yeah, one of my and he's making some figures with the mega blocks kind,
Yeah.
mega blocks,
Yeah,
but
the
not
Mega
construct,
Constructs figures. Yeah.
construct mega blocks oriented to the tabletop
Oh,
fantasy.
awesome.
Yeah, it's Fantasy Weavers, I think it's called. It has a big range of figures, very nice.
Mhm.
They are articulated and swappable. Um, that rem that is something what I like from the old miniatures. But they have something similar. They were very exaggerated. Now the miniatures are too stylized, too digital.
Yeah,
They don't
Hmm.
have that very exaggerated
right. Big
big
proportions.
yeah, the proportion because the old figures they was holding guns when it was about the size of a
Right, it's the size of their chest, but because the figure is so small, you need to be able to see it from a distance.
exactly
And so
and,
the point is not to be realistic, like a
exactly
photograph. It's to be clear as an idea and who the character
the
is.
exactly and that was amazing. I don't really look at the new stuff to be
Hmm.
honest when it comes to minis and you can see the only thing I can really get is a render.
Hmm.
I look at it's a render. I
And
rather
when I look at people who customize and make their own miniatures, that's where that creativity has gone, much in a similar way, I would say, to how, it's the independent toy makers who are really kind of keeping the original spirit of the thing alive versus the
yes,
large companies that are making the same thing year to year.
yes, yes. It's the same because with the other stuff you could sense the sculptor
Right.
holding the stuff and making those parts more exaggerated. But when you it's something I do a lot of stuff with the computer. It's true,
Hmm.
but I don't finish a figure until I took decisions in the physical world.
Right.
The prototype, the real prototype of Juliet,
Hmm.
it was sculpted by hand. I took the connectors, I split it with the clippers, I sculpted with clay,
Oh, wow.
Oh,
and
wow.
I glued the joints, and I look at how it could work by hand.
Hmm. You know,
I sculpted areas, and until I didn't get that proportion by hand, I don't go back to the sculpting program.
oh, wow.
Most of them it has that intermediate processing between what is manual. I
Hmm.
think I never got a nice character, a nice skull, a nice head proportion straight from the printer. Never. At
Mm.
least I printed 3, 4 times before I got that right proportion, and I never got a good figure straight from the sculpting program. Never.
Hmm. That that sounds to me like, Brett and I have listened to Matt Doughty, who's the creator of Glyos, talk about his process and how he'll always take a figure that he's sculpted by hand and then he'll put it in his pocket and walk
Yeah,
around for a day and sort of
See
do
how it
things. But
feels.
but
Yeah, he's
He
got a really interesting set of things. Like he'll have like put it under a light, and he'll see how the light shines on it from an angle, knowing how he's been photographing these for, what, almost 20 years now or longer for his early custom stuff. So he has a very, very specific system he uses for if it doesn't look right in this picture as a
Exactly.
prototype, he won't continue on. He'll go back and
Exactly.
fix it.
That exactly. That I completely agree with that, and it makes total sense because when you show the figure, you can show you can really tell anyone who the figure really is if you don't have a good picture. If the figure doesn't get nice when you photograph it, it's something wrong. Doesn't matter how it looks in your hand. It doesn't matter how great you think it is. If the figure doesn't look great when you photograph it, that's it. It's over. That figure will not work, and
Mhm.
that is why I never put a figure as try and there into the listing or show until I didn't get those pictures right.
Mhm.
When I can get the different angles, I can get the proportions right with the fun. That is something what is I like to mention. The old Instagram with the square format, it was
Mhm.
perfect for 3-inch figures. They always
Right.
look awesome. The small figures, they were, to me, the only figures where they look nice on with the old format. If you look at all the Glios figures, they look perfect with the square format in a small
Mhm.
area. They look wonderful. If you put a 112 figure, it doesn't. It's very hard to work. You need the whole thing. You need to
Right.
put more. A
Yeah, you
Glios,
have to have whole dioramas dedicated to it.
exactly the three inch.
Yeah.
The 3-inch is very photogenic, man.
Mhm.
Very photogenic. It's something what also helped me to take that scale, adopt that scale and work with it. It's how nice they work with. You take your camera, you put it in the palm of your hand, and they look great.
Mhm.
Make a few poses and they look fabulous. A large figure tends to get confused. At some point, you don't know where is the leg, where is the arm.
Right.
I saw a lot of people posing at some point. What's that? It took me maybe a while to understand where the body,
Mhm.
the parts are. But with the small, it's very to get astray with the whole. I
Right.
think
It's a very clear silhouette, and that's something that
yes,
Jesse
exactly.
DeStasio from Toy Pizza talks about a lot. And when he's
Yes,
looking at designs, is all the de if you hide all the detail from the figure and just look at like their shadow, that's
yes.
sort of how you can judge very quickly, does this design work well? So for example, for my own figure, I wanted it's not going to show up real great, but because it's dark in
No,
here,
no,
but
that contrasts well. Yeah, your silhouette of the cursed armor is very distinct.
Yeah,
right, by having the big shoulder pad and sort of the
you have
spikes on one side and then the
the
pointed helmet,
pointy.
you can see like that from a distance
It has
is
their own signature. Astra, you can
right.
recognize.
And similarly, like your proportions on any of the, be it Juliet, be it the Mokubot, um, even if there were no internal details, and actually, I think that's a strong point of you don't have to come in and add a lot of sculptural detail to what's there because the silhouette, the shape
Yes, I try.
is so
I try.
strong.
I try to hide the essence in the silhouette. So I think it's nicer when you can get the impact from the silhouette rather than the detail.
Right.
So there is more. It becomes more natural when you have an impact, when you recognize something, uh, than than having all the detail of the world. It becomes uncanny.
Mhm.
When you can hide the character in a silhouette and his essence, the impact is more natural. You get a more natural feeling about that figure, more than it has a lot of data. When there's too much data, it becomes uncanny. It's like
Right.
it becomes unnatural. But when it's simple, something what you can recognize is more natural. Is that is something what Picasso says once. Is I like to hide natural things on the shapes.
Mhm.
No? It's like to me, Cubism. He say is like camouflage. Is hiding the essence. It becomes more natural. A guitar player when you suddenly realize what that painting is a guitar player than putting a guitar, somebody playing the guitar with all detail, because it
Mhm.
looks completely you from the first millisecond you know it's a guitar player. You don't spend time trying to, you
Right.
don't get that, you know. And I think that is something what he say once, and I sometimes when I work with the figure, I go to the same point. The silhouette is more important. It will give me a more natural sense than putting a lot of detail. And in fact, Juliet, the last version, I've been taking a lot of pictures and taking her everywhere because I can pose her and play with her and get that feeling more than if it was a very detailed figure where you have all the data, you know.
Mhm. To I don't know. Have you have you taken life drawing classes where you draw from a model who's doing a pose at all, or?
I for my mom was a painter,
Oh, wow.
and she did a lot of natural drawing,
Hmm.
and seeing her painting and drawing, it gave me a lot of confidence to draw. So at some point, he was taking commissions for portraits, and he was giving me when I was 15 or 16 years old. He was giving me the commissions to
Oh,
paint
wow.
drawings from,
Hmm.
and he was giving me the money too. So it was just taking. No, I will make a portrait from a picture.
Hmm.
So she started to give me the the commission. So I learned how to draw portraits. I was getting quite good, but
Hmm.
I was just doing. I did that for a while. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with art. So it was just a period of time. So I has been a long time since I just tried to draw a person.
Hmm. Because to me, in order to draw a person who's sitting there, you only have so much time. They'll get tired. They need to go to
Yeah,
the bathroom or something. And so what you need
you
to
have to get the essence.
write the essence or
Have
the
to use
gesture.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
My mom was very good. He was making one line. It was the left leg, and he was turning into the
exactly.
right side of the, and then another crossing, and he couldn't even was making the arms more twisted
Hmm.
than usual. So he was giving the sensation of the
Right.
movement. Very nice drawings. Very nice. Very nice. It just some drawing natural is not, you don't have to focus on the detail.
Right.
When
Well,
you
and
go in
that's what
a
I was
painting,
trying to say is
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah,
ties
yeah,
together how you pose your figures, or even when we were talking about the old Warhammer miniatures, what they're showing you with those proportions is the gesture of the raised arm. And so all the muscles in the shoulder will be twice
yeah,
as big
huge
as they should be.
compared to the legs.
Um, right.
Yeah,
But
I love it.
it the gesture conveys sort of the motion rather than having the highly photorealistic person with their arm up like
Yeah, it
this.
will never work. It's happened with the when first I was studying the whole the I I look at the proportion of the heads. Normally,
Mhm.
Glios is for heads
Right.
proportion,
Hmm.
but if you look at the the size of every part, it corresponds to our 112.
Mhm.
It match 112. So it's like a squidge
Right.
112 figure.
So like here's a thousand toys.
Yeah, what that must be 8 heads. That is five. I think I make 5 heads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, five.
Mhm.
So that is eight. If you divide
Right. If
the
I
body, you will get about eight.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. When it comes to a Glios, is four. That one is four. I mean, Glios, not all Glios have the same proportions, but normally you get the four,
Mhm.
and it works.
Yeah.
It works because it reminds you. It becomes natural. It's like when we grow, the proportions change. We can go from a baby or as a kid is 4 heads to six when it's another set. If in fact the proportion of the Artron is more like a kid,
Mhm.
Hmm.
it's about six heads, like it's just a kid, but and that gives that juvenile look, for example, to the Trony. It gives that mad look
Right.
of a kid, what is angry, or
Mhm.
it also attracts because it gives you some tender, feeling
Right.
when you look at it. The proportions make it gives the age and it gives the how old or how the figure. Um, More heads and you add more adult it looks.
Mhm. Right.
It's obviously a man, but when you play with those proportions, it's the line is very delicate. It is if you look at it, it's more like a baby,
Mhm.
Hmm.
a small kid.
Right.
It attracts you, but it's combined with those details, but it's like a monster. It's a very, you know, it's something what it's interesting. It's interesting playing with those proportions and those details. It's not that easy to 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 bring that
Mhm.
that seems like saying no, it's simple. It's not that easy to put change the length of the arm, and it
Mhm.
just change completely the
Well,
whole
right. So for example, I have this was a design of a robot from Godzilla, and this is closer to, I guess maybe this is like 5 or 6 heads tall,
yeah.
but
It
then
can be,
they've changed the legs and the arms, so now it's
and it's
a
when you get yeah.
completely different versus here's another Japanese figure, and this is almost maybe 10 heads tall. And so,
Yeah, because
it looks very imposing as
yeah,
sort of
they
a,
like
a
they like
hero,
to extend the legs a lot.
right?
It's like a Capitan Harlock. Maybe that is 50 heads, and just the legs are more than half of the body.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Well, I feel like it might be getting late where you are, Jacob. So maybe we'll wrap up the recording piece before my my internet drops again. But
Okay.
Brett, did you have any other questions that you wanted to hit while we're recording for the episode?
No, nothing that I can really think of. I feel like we've tackled and probably completed about every side quest I could, meander us through. But,
Hmm.
Jacob, I just wanted to say I appreciate the time for us on a Saturday evening. I know
Right.
it's not super late there, but this is a 6 hour time change can be difficult. But it was honestly, it was a pleasure getting to hang out with you Saturday, talk toys and your process. And we've been chatting for a good many
Yeah,
years now. So
completely. Yeah.
but it's been a
No.
real pleasure getting to hang out and get a name to the face and all
Yeah,
that
yeah.
jazz. So I appreciate
That's
your
good.
time and all your creativity, my friend.
Me too. It's been a pleasure, and I'm just I had an incredible time. I
Yeah.
am not talk about those things that often, so
Hmm.
Sure,
just
sure.
maybe in more than 5 years I didn't
Oh
talk about
wow.
those
Well, you're always
those
welcome to
things.
come
So
back and
Right.
you're always welcome to
yeah,
come back and
yeah,
chit chat with us.
it will be always will be all nice, very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's I guess we'll go ahead and plug it. Jacob, where can people find you at on the internet?
Right.
Um,
So there's your Instagram, right? Is Desktop Vandals,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
then
yeah. It's, I got just froze because there's no many places where you can find me. Let me think. Just basically Instagram.
right, and then
Uh,
there's your Patreon too, right?
yeah,
Where
Patreon
we'll be
I
posting this
really
hopefully.
hope people find you on Patreon. Is
Oh,
basically
we'll
it's
plug
all
it in the show notes.
Yeah,
I don't know, but it's basically Instagram, the Patreon, and that's it.
that's
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 it.
enough. That's
Yeah,
all the
Yeah,
work you're doing
I,
making toys. That's more than enough to places to be on the internet.
yeah.
yeah, and then yeah, yeah, I don't. I think it's the most. They are the most active. I try different platforms, but for example, Flickr, it didn't really.
Mhm.
It was not much. I think I try. I don't know. It is some different platforms, but I always go back to Instagram because
Mhm.
it's where there is more traffic.
Right.
Right.
Um, and if you create a thick skin, it works. You don't
Yep.
have to because I sometimes it can really be uh,
It can be work.
Yeah,
yeah,
Not it's
yeah.
no fun.
right.
I think I delete my account once or two.
Mhm.
And for somehow the name was there, so I couldn't just get back the
Mhm.
name. But if you if you don't if you don't spend there all day, it's, it's not bad.
Right. No, we I try to post my work to share it with people who are interested, and then
Yeah,
I turn it off and I go and draw or go and sculpt because my
yeah,
time
yeah,
is better spent there.
Yep.
But
yeah. Yeah.
Brett, you want
Oh,
to share where people can find you?
Yeah, of course. You can find me on Instagram at Aegis Station. Beyond that, the shop is currently out of order as we go through our restructuring process, so nothing available for sale right now. Gordon, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Instagram. I'm Vladimir the Batimir, and then you can find me here on YouTube. I'm the one posting the show, editing the footage. And so we're always happy when people leave a like, subscribe to the channel, or post a comment. And just to close things out, I want to say again, Jacob, muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much for staying up and talking with us.
thank you.